I'm Kelda Yoon. The clock is ticking on a potential shutdown of the TTC. We're just an hour away from the strike deadline for 12,000 TTC workers. No deal has been announced yet, but the latest updates have been promising. Tyler Cheese is with us live at the Sheraton Hotel where talks are ongoing. Tyler, we are inching closer to midnight. What's the latest?
Yeah, Kelda, so we're here waiting in the hotel just outside one of the conference rooms where the discussions are happening. But tonight we have heard from the TTC union in a series of updates that progress is being made at the bargaining table. That's an encouraging update because just hours ago, the union had said that not enough meaningful progress had been made. That said, union representatives have held strong all day, saying workers will move forward with strike action if no deal is met before this midnight deadline. Here's Union President Marvin Alfred earlier today.
We will be walking out at midnight and taking our labor services away because this is what it seems like the TTC is trying to do. We're here at the table trying to bargain and get a deal, and we're only getting fragments of ideas that could be possibly avoiding the strike.
So wages, benefits, and job security are the main issues being discussed. But we've also heard from the TTC tonight. In the latest update on social media, the agency posted progress is being made. Teams are working hard to reach a deal tonight. I spoke with TTC spokesperson Stuart Green earlier this evening, and here's what he had to say.
We think that there's enough goodwill at the table. There has been for the last, certainly the last few weeks, but as I say, there are a lot of issues that are under discussion. So these things just take time, but we are optimistic that we can find that middle ground that achieves a fair agreement, one that's fair to our employees and respectful of the work that they do.
So things here are feeling pretty hopeful, but there's just no way to know for sure how it's going to go. If commuters do wake up to a strike tomorrow morning, it's fair to say things are going to be pretty messy. According to data from May, the transit system averages 1.3 million riders per weekday. So that's a lot of people who are going to be scrambling to find alternatives to get to work or to school or even to doctor's appointments. Now, we are expecting some kind of update around midnight tonight when that deadline passes. So Kelda, we'll have to wait and see what happens at that time.
As we've been doing all day, all night, we'll just wait and see, but good to hear that it does seem to look promising. Thanks so much, Tyler. Our Tyler Cheese live for us tonight. Now, if there is a strike, though, it will have a devastating impact on people's ability to move around the city. Our Del Manukduk spoke to commuters at Scarborough Town Centre today to see how they're preparing.
Oh my God.
News of a potential TTC strike fast approaching, causing nail-biting nerves.
Yeah, because we have class tomorrow.
Class, work, steady streams of buses and commuters could come to a halt, and the pressure is on to find alternative transportation to those places if needed.
I just got an email from my workplace saying that we don't care, you have to commute, doesn't matter, take taxis, take GO transits and all that stuff.
I could lose my job for it. Yeah, so if I late, if they shut down the bus or train, I would get angry.
All over the city, Torontonians are looking ahead to Friday.
I'm not go out till tomorrow.
I work from home, so I'm good. I'm a graphics designer, I work from home.
Since I have my own car, I can come, but those who don't have, they'll definitely suffer.
I walk to work, so in my case, it won't affect me.
2 feet and a heartbeat might work for people in the downtown core, but here in Scarborough is a different beast, where transit is heavily relied upon and options are limited.
You have Uber on your phone right now. Can we see how much it would cost to get to work?
The lowest I'm getting right now, it's 31. So I'm hoping it's gonna be same tomorrow morning as well if I leave early.
The normal price is gonna be 27 just to go to work. And then with the discount it's 22, but tomorrow it might be above 30.
During a transit stoppage, Uber says it caps surge pricing. That's when there are more ride requests than there are drivers and prices go up. Beck Taxi is ready to go in case of a TTC strike, but isn't taking any advanced bookings for tomorrow. Other transit operators say it will be business as usual for them. The good news is if there is a strike, it won't be a full shutdown. The union and the TTC came to an agreement to run Wheel-Trans service without any reduction.
Vulnerable individuals that depend on the Wheel-Trans service is available to them. We're very much aware of the need for Wheel-Trans in order to have people have medical appointments, critical care.
While regular bus, streetcar, and subway service might pause, life won't. Hospitals will be operating as normal, and school is a go except for elementary schools who are on a PA day. They're all advising to give extra time and plan accordingly.
That was our Dale Manukduk reporting. To Etobicoke now, where police are confirming a second homicide connected to the mass shooting outside North Albion Collegiate on Sunday night. The mayor and police chief visiting the community this afternoon. We're also learning more about what happened that night from one of the survivors of that shooting. Greg Ross has more.
Mayor Olivia Chow and Chief Myron Demkew were here to take part in a community walk. They're working with religious leaders here in this community. They actually held a prayer circle with some of the residents here. And they've also been walking around the community, talking to residents and trying to assure them that they're doing everything they can to keep this community safe. Now, just a little while ago, the chief was asked about the death of 46-year-old Seymour Gibbs, one of the victims of Sunday's shooting, who died in hospital yesterday. Originally, police said that they were going to wait for the results of an autopsy before determining whether or not his death was connected to Sunday's shooting. Well, today, the chief saying that he has received information and they are now calling Gibbs' death a homicide, the second homicide in this shooting. 61-year-old George Parks was the other victim who died after that shooting on Sunday. One of the other 5 men who was shot that night was here for this community walk today, 56-year-old Baldwin Thomas. He was shot 4 times, 3 times in his back, and another bullet grazed him on the top of his head, where he now has a massive scar. Today, he talked about what he remembers from that night.
I got 4 shots. I got 1 and 3 in my back. It's crazy because, you know, standing there having fun, playing domino, enjoying ourselves, and then this happened. I leave the hospital the next day. The doctors told me that I'm a miracle man, so I'll still keep on praising God, lift up my hands to God, and live.
How well did you know the 2 men that died, George?
They're brothers. I know them over 25 years. All my kids them grow up here. This is where we spend all of our summer, barbecuing, playing soccer, playing cricket. You name the sport, domino, we do everything here.
Thomas says he's lucky to be alive. He says that Parks and Gibbs were 2 of his closest friends. Thomas also told us that the other 2 shooting victims are doing well. He says one of them is still in hospital and the other has been released. Now, both the mayor and the chief stressing today the importance of togetherness, the importance of not only the community coming together, but leaders from the city coming out to make sure that they're here to support them. And like I said, they also stressed the importance of making sure that residents in this community feel safe, which is why they wanted to be here to talk to the residents, to make sure that they're aware of what is being done here. Mayor Chow also talked about the importance of making sure that the people who are responsible for this shooting are brought to justice.
It is absolutely horrific that people can descend to such cruelty and open fire. And this is not the first incident. There had been other incidents. And we need to ask ourselves as a society, what can we do to prevent this from happening?
Let me be really clear that the full resources of the Toronto Police are being made available to the investigators, and we will be standing with this community shoulder to shoulder and making sure that there's a sense of safety and security, and we will be here for as long as that takes.
So last Sunday, we had a group of men that gathered here in this parking lot where I'm standing right now to socialize, to be together. And they were attacked for seemingly no reason. And since then, we haven't seen a lot of people here in this parking lot. But tonight, you can see behind me that people are starting to gather again. People from the community are starting to come out and feel a little bit more comfortable, especially after what we saw here today with the mayor and the chief of police coming out to reassure these residents. And many of the residents telling us that it's more important now than ever for them to be out here and to be together, Kelda.
That's our Greg Ross reporting. Premier Doug Ford is creating the biggest cabinet in Ontario political history with 36 ministers. The government announcing a major cabinet shuffle this afternoon as the provincial legislature breaks for the summer. Senior Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has the details.
Premier Doug Ford has always been a fan of small government. Well, he has just created the biggest cabinet ever in Ontario, 36 cabinet ministers. There are 7 new faces in cabinet from my count, and Premier Doug Ford's biggest actual portfolio shuffle is a switch of the education and the energy ministers. The education minister, Stephen Lecce, has been in that post for 5 years. He's swapping over to be the energy minister. Todd Smith, who was energy minister, taking place in education. Most of the other major portfolios, health, finance, environment, transportation, those kinds of things, all stay the course. A lot of these new ministers are coming in to take on associate minister positions. So they're basically splitting up some of these ministries and creating smaller portfolios, but they're still going to have cabinet minister type salaries.
And Mike, what does the shuffle tell you about Ford's political strategy right now?
Well, there's a few things I think are going on here, Kelda. One is the timing. Okay, so this happened mere hours after the legislature wrapped for the summer. And so what that means is these new cabinet ministers are not going to have to face question period for quite a few months until basically into October. That's one thing going on. This is going to give those ministers a time to kind of get used to their portfolio. It also is sort of feeding that speculation about an early election. Now, Ford has said no election this summer or this fall, but changing your cabinet is the kind of thing you do in the run-up to an election. And so I look at some of these cabinet ministers who've been given new posts. They're in key swing ridings of folks in Mississauga, for instance. And so I think that's also part of what's going on in terms of Doug Ford's political strategy.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. Our senior Queen's Park reporter, Mike Crawley. Meanwhile, with politicians now gone for a prolonged summer break, opposition parties are frustrated that the government will be able to avoid answering questions for the next 4 months. Lorena Redicott reports.
To get the government's early exit, the Premier had to bring in the Lieutenant Governor to give royal assent to the last of the bills that were approved.
In His Majesty's name, Her Honour, the Lieutenant Governor assents to these bills.
Making them official. The break will last longer than usual until October 21st. Liberal John Fraser only found out from a reporter.
We're not coming back to the 21st of October? That's not right. 2.3 million Ontarians don't have a family doc. Right? What about all the help that kids need in school that they're not getting?
They can't get out of here fast enough. They know that we have them backed up against a wall. They obviously don't want to spend any time here being held to account by the opposition or by all of you.
Here's what I say to the Premier. Ontario Greens are going to be out working hard this summer. You don't want to be held accountable in the House. We'll find ways to hold you accountable while we talk to people and listen to their concerns.
Legislative committees will still meet over these next 4 months. The Premier dismissed any concerns his party won't be working.
The misnomer out there, and I think all parties will agree, that everyone's sitting on the beach for the next few months. That's furthest from the truth. We're still going, at least I'm going, from 6 in the morning to midnight every single day.
The early adjournment also means a government-side private members bill can't pass before the summer. It would charge boaters $200 for each child 12 and under not wearing a life jacket, called Joshua's Law, named after an 11-year-old boy who died in a boating accident.
The Ontario Liberal Caucus.
For all the parties, it'll likely mean a summer of campaigning, since there could be an early election. The Premier has left open the possibility of calling one next year, a year ahead of schedule. Lorena Redicott, CBC News.
Recapping our top story and the looming threat of a TTC strike. We are less than an hour from the midnight deadline to reach an agreement. Both the union, representing 12,000 workers, and the TTC have signaled tonight that some progress has been made. Both sides remain at the bargaining table, and we will bring you any developments as we get them. An average 1.3 million people ride the TTC every weekday. A pro-Palestinian encampment at York University was dismantled by Toronto police this morning, just a day after it was erected. This afternoon, demonstrators held a rally on the university grounds, speaking out against the move.
This rally today, it's filled with a lot of anger because at 8 a.m. we were raided by over 35 police officers who came in full gear, took down our tents, kicked people off campus who are students and faculty.
Protesters say that York U initially signaled it wanted to establish dialogue with the encampment, but by the next morning, police were called in. York, meanwhile, claims the group is unknown to the university, and a trespass notice was served because they were not authorized to be on the grounds. Toronto police say about 40 protesters left the encampment this morning without incident, and one person later returned and was arrested. Toronto police are searching for a driver involved in a fatal hit and run in the city's West End this morning.
Officers and paramedics arrived on scene. Life-saving measures were commenced. However, the man was pronounced deceased. The driver of the vehicle did not remain on scene.
The collision happened near Roncesvalles and Bousted Avenues around 5:15 a.m. Police responded to reports of a male pedestrian being struck by a vehicle. They're now saying a 48-year-old man was pronounced dead on scene. And police say they have identified a suspect vehicle, a dark-colored Volkswagen GTI. They're asking anyone who may have been in the area or may have information to come forward. Over to Brampton now, where 3 men are on trial for first-degree murder and multiple counts of attempted murder. In May 2021, a gunman opened fire on a family while they were working at their Mississauga takeout restaurant called Chicken Land. The 25-year-old son of the owner was killed. Today, the defense questioned the credibility of a key witness for the Crown by diving into the man's past. Olivia Bowden has more.
Witness Michaela Rass continued his testimony today. The 30-year-old told the court earlier this week that the 3 men on trial told him that they killed Naeem Akal and tried to wipe out his family. Rass alleges that the attack was motivated by the men's ties to ISIS. But today, the defense tried to discredit him. Rass has given lengthy testimony about how Anan Nath, Solomon Raza, and Nakasha Bassi planned the Chicken Land attack. The Crown has alleged that Nath was the shooter, Raza drove the getaway car, while Abbasi was the mastermind. Rass says he had only recently reconnected with the men, after not speaking for a year. The 3 men worked at an Amazon warehouse resale business, and Rass was invited for prayers there the weekend of the shooting. He says that weekend, he saw Raza and Nath leave the warehouse in a green Honda and come back the evening of May 29th. Nath came back in the trunk of the car and changed his clothes. He told the court that 2 days later, they told him they were behind the shooting and pressured him to pledge loyalty to an ISIS leader. But today, the defense tried to question Rass's credibility. They suggested Rass had far more contact with them prior to the shooting than he's portraying. Rass disagreed. He had several charges as a youth for offenses like mischief and theft under $5,000. In his early 20s, Rass pled guilty to offenses including assault, possessing counterfeit money, and dealing drugs. He grew up in the foster system and had no family support. But Rass was steadfast that he's a changed man and that his criminal record is long in the past. His last offense occurred in 2015. However, the defense is also alleging that Rass was friendlier with the accused men than he's portraying. They presented phone records that showed Rass called Abbasi 3 times the night of the shooting. Cross-examination will continue Friday. Olivia Bowden, CBC News, Brampton.
A final look at the Sheraton Hotel before we go tonight, and that's where the TTC and the union representing 12,000 workers continue to bargain as the clock ticks down to the midnight strike deadline. Both sides indicating tonight that progress has been made. The TTC saying in an update that they are optimistic that a deal avoiding job action can be reached tonight. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest ahead of the morning commute. Head to our website, cbc.ca/Toronto, for any updates. All right, you are looking at a live shot of Toronto, partly cloudy tonight and a bit breezy. Colette Kennedy joins us now with a look at your forecast. And Colette, how's it looking out there?
Thanks, Kelda. Yeah, we're looking at some kind of changing conditions, or changing to the pattern that we've been seeing. We had breezy conditions today as that cold front was moving through, more active weather into eastern Ontario. We were still dealing with nice numbers in terms of the temperatures and quite a bit of sunshine too. Really a fair day all in all, other than those winds. 26 degrees the high for Toronto, and Oshawa 25. And just to show you what a normal high for this time of year is, around 23. And I want you to kind of make a mental note of that number, because as we move forward over the next couple of days, we are going to have some cooler air that's being ushered in behind that front. So tomorrow's daytime high, roughly about 5 degrees. You'll experience it being cooler than what it was today. Not necessarily 5 degrees below seasonal, but than what was happening today with our skies. Now, if you are going to be perhaps on foot or taking your bike tomorrow, well, we've got not only more cloud cover than what we experienced today, we are going to be seeing with that instability more widespread. They will be scattered, but still widespread scattered showers locally here and there. An isolated thunderstorm potential is there for that too. Now the winds for tomorrow, those are going to be coming out of the west, and they're still going to be a little breezy, just not as strong as today. As we head through later night, evening hours, I should say, into Friday, into Saturday, we do get some nice breaks developing, not necessarily eastern Ontario, but certainly back from the GTA back to southwestern Ontario, okay? But then another system will be riding in, and when that comes in, that's Saturday night into Sunday. So if the timing on that one changes, it could really impact your weekend forecast. In terms of tomorrow, because it is so scattered in nature, we're looking at 5 to 10 millimeters. Much heavier rains will be taking place across the border into Quebec. Now, there are those winds behind that cold front. As we move past those and we look at our overnight temperatures just for tonight, in general, mid-teens. Pretty close to seasonal for those overnight lows, and the winds back off through the overnight hours as well. So tomorrow's high, what am I talking about? High teens. If we get lucky, we might push towards 20 degrees. Into Saturday, there's that timing. This will be crucial as to how much of an impact it's going to have on the weekend. Temperatures will come up a little bit, so feeling a little bit better. And yeah, it's a little below seasonal here for a few days, but these readings still not uncomfortable. They're pretty good, Kelda.
At all. Thanks so much, Colette. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 6. Have a great night, everyone.